What is the nature of health, illness, and healing? How does religious faith and involvement in religious activity influence them? Are religion and spirituality helpful to us when we are struggling with illness? Are religious people healthier? Hello and welcome to Matter and Beyond. I'm Laura Wells. Today we will meet Dr. Harold Koenig, co-director for the Center for Spirituality, Theology, and Health at the Duke University Medical Center. His research is part of a growing interest in the medical community regarding the connection between religion and health. Please join us as we explore the relationship between health and illness, healing, and religion.
A life-threatening illness brings with it many new thoughts about the life someone is living. Several areas of internal struggle are common among critically ill patients.
When someone has a life-threatening illness, they become very fearful. They fear for their life, they fear for their family. There's a lot of anxiety about what will happen with this illness.
We spend our lives pursuing success. Success in our daily lives is related to our ability to control our environment. Illness interferes with our control. Patients have little say in how they feel.
They're having to give up control to the doctors and sometimes to fate. And so they become very, very overwhelmed by the situation.
In addition to losing some level of control over one's life, a person in the midst of a life-threatening illness often begins to feel like a burden. Concern for one's family and close friends can add anxiety to an already challenging situation.
While family may be a tremendous source of support, the family itself may be experiencing the stress of the person being out of work or having to care for the sick person, and they may not always be that supportive, so it can affect the relationships with family members as well. And I guess feeling like a burden becomes a real serious issue because sick people don't want to be a burden.
Culture also influences how people cope. Several characteristics of Western ways of looking at life influence how people process the experience of serious illness. Within Western society, people value being in control, not depending on others, and maintaining a distance from family that other cultures are not as familiar with.
So I think many people in Western society carry the whole burden, the entire weight of their life on their own shoulders rather than being able to distribute that weight to family, to friends, to others. And that is a problem when you get sick, because then you're the only one carrying that burden, and it can get awfully heavy.
When a person is unable to easily share responsibility for their own well-being with others, loneliness can set in. If a person is already partially isolated through a sense of independence, illness can further isolate him or her.
When people become chronically ill or even acutely ill, of course this affects their family and their friendships and relationships with others. And they may not be able to hold up their part of the relationship. They may not be able to go out with people because they're sick and they have to stay at home, or they may not have the energy to get out and to socialize. And sometimes they begin to feel lonely and deserted because they may call for a while, but then they stop calling.
The combination of loss of control, feeling like a burden, and loneliness can bring overwhelming results. The questions of why the illness occurred and what comes next seem inevitable.
All of these factors combine. When people become seriously ill, they combine to cause people to question and to search and to seek what is really matters, what is meaningful, why continue to live, what gives life meaning despite their illness and disability, and how can they achieve some degree of control over what's happening to them.
For many people, one step in meeting their illness and disability is to reevaluate their lives. This is especially true if the patient is elderly, though younger patients are also drawn to contemplation on their lives. The process of reviewing one's life can be challenging. The changes and conclusions in a person's life that result can be either negative or positive. Either path can be taken at this crossroad.
Many people will cope with the current illness by looking back on their life. Some may look back in a way that they wish they were back younger or in a previous state. And this a lot of times creates turmoil because they're not younger, they're not healthy anymore. And so that becomes a real challenge.
Meeting this challenge, however, does not have to be negative. For many people, the response to difficult conditions, to ill health, can bring about positive changes.
Then there are those who move in a positive direction, those who might seek meaning and purpose in their struggles and seek insight into maybe how to help others with similar conditions. Some may grow psychologically from the experience and be able to reprioritize things in their life because now they're in a different place. They can't do what they did before, so they have to reconstruct new meaning in their life, which a lot of times is less self-centered and less self-focused and more focused on others or on more important issues.
For people who respond to illness with a positive and life-changing perspective, self-evaluation of their lives brings satisfaction and contentment. If they see that their life has had meaning and purpose, the possibility of death is also given meaning and purpose. They are not leaving behind emptiness for more emptiness.
Other people may look over their life and reevaluate it, and this is part of really, as you grow older, you tend to look over your life and try to look back and see what you did. Was it meaningful? Did you hurt others? What kind of contributions have you made? People think about that. If they conclude that their life was meaningful, then they obtain a sense of integrity.
Not everyone, however, moves in such a positive direction. Serious illness can trigger or intensify negative and self-destructive thought patterns.
Many people will become hopeless, will give up. Some may turn to drugs and alcohol. Some will do things, may have affairs. They do things that are sometimes self-destructive in desperation.
For a person who is struggling with the meaning of their illness and who does not value the life they have lived, the results can be devastating. The process of self-evaluating the life one has lived can reveal tragedy and a sense of having wasted life.
If you, on the other hand, look back on your life and it was all self-centered and it was just about the person, me, then the conclusion will be that it may not have been worth it, that your life may have been a waste, that you've wasted opportunities, and in which case the person then begins to despair over their life.
A person's spiritual and religious beliefs have a tremendous impact on how they process the experience of serious illness, as do the quality of their relationships with other people. The greatest challenge is for those who do not have a wide network of supportive relationships and do not have strong religious beliefs that inspire them to think beyond themselves.
Even people without any beliefs may have very strong relationships with others, and that may be a very positive thing in their life. But it does become a challenge, particularly if you don't have a lot of relationships, and if you are suffering, and there is no sense of belief that this has meaning or purpose, or that suffering can result in something good, or there's something good at the end of the path. And when there is no sense of that, then it can be a challenge.